Hey, welcome to the chat. This is Slide, and this is Saturday Night Sex Chat with Slide and friends. Uh, Hold on, let me mute some things here and get some things squared away. All right, if you look in the chat to the right, we have Vitalia in the chat this evening. I also invited some other friends who should show up shortly. Vitalia, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself. Welcome to the channel. I'm glad to have you here. Uh, if you'd like to just give us a quick bio, so we know who we're talking to tonight.
Well, hello. My name is Vitalia. It is a great pleasure to meet you. It is my first time talking live on anywhere, so I am a little bit nervous, but I'm sure that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice to meet everyone. I am very nervous right now, but I have been told that I'm a nympho, and I believe it, but it's really difficult for me personally as I'm in a long distance relationship. So
Right.
it gets a little bit creative on my end.
Well, you should feel at home because here there's a lot of introverts, uh, a lot of social introverts, that do have normal jobs and do leave the house and do take showers, but for the most part are loners and have been hurt before and are actually looking for love and looking for a relationship, looking for a connection. Now, I know that but one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show this evening is because you're a deep, I would say, spiritually connected woman.
Mhm.
Uh, Not to say that there's not, I don't know a lot of other spiritually connected women, but your specific situation is special and you do depend on astral energy, you depend on spiritual energy for a connection because you're not able to be with your lover right now.
Correct. And it's something that can be very difficult, but I'm not really quite sure how to explain it, but
Well,
in
hopefully,
time.
right. Well, in time, hopefully, as the conversation rolls forward, we'll find solutions, or maybe you can share some of your coping mechanisms. Hey, the this beach is better. OG with it. If you want to join the chat, click on the StreamYard link. I'd be glad to have you. Uh, this beach and I will be having Tantric Tuesday hosted on her channel Tuesday night. This coming Tuesday, the 21st. It's going to be her. I believe Vivian may be there that night. Who knows who may show up? But I invite you all to check out This Beach is Better. Click on the three dots by her name, go to her channel, click notifications, set the bell, so that way you don't miss that conversation. All right. So right now, Vita and I are talking about uh, her situation with being labeled, maybe a nympho, but being away from her lover, having to find creative ways uh, to connect. But I've always been the kind of person that believe when you're away from your lover, when you think about them hard enough, they feel your energy even that far away. But still, that may not be enough, to fulfill that physical need. And I can understand that. So again, maybe we may share some techniques and secrets that you guys share to spice things up or to keep that connection, even though he's away. The purpose of this show is also to speak frankly and honestly about sex and our sexual situations. One of the important things that came up in the conversation with me and This Speech is Better last week was how to love a woman that has had certain situations, whether it be physical abuse, sexual assault, those types of things, when she, wants to be cuddled but doesn't, or wants to be touched but doesn't want to be touched, when she's going through those thoughts and feelings and emotions that, you know, may have ravaged her youth or even her womanhood, how do you deal with her? How do you find the patience? How do you ask the right questions to be able to comfort her? So it's not all about just what position do you like and the freakiest place you've had sex, even though we did have that conversation as well. There were honest answers given. So again, if you're interested, I would check out This Beach is Better. We had a 5.5 hour conversation the other night, and it went to some really interesting places. But again, we want to know how to love our lovers, how to love each other. So this is a place to learn. This is a place to grow. This is a place of comfort. Nobody's judged for what they've been through or what stories they have to tell. Um, if anything, we all find a mutual understanding. So if you're out there in the chat, give a quick shout, check in. The Truth, I'm glad to have you here, and I'm hoping you can log into StreamYard if you can. Hey, Key Can, welcome. Again, these are all content creators we have in the house. If you haven't, check out Key Can's channel. Check out The Truth as well. Again, the StreamYard is open. So if I'm looking for ladies to join, but I also like to hear from my gentlemen as well. So if you want to join, go ahead and click. And it's also a great time to promote your channel. So again, my content creators, we'd love to hear from you too. This is a place of peace. This is a place of comfort. This is a place where you can say whatever you want. All right, Vita, tell me a little bit about your cultural background. Judging by your name, I guess you have an Eastern European or Russian background. Hey, are you there? Let me get her back into the conversation. Sorry about that. All right, we have Vita back on the line, and we have This Beach is Better. If you don't know This Beach, please click on the three dots by her name, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. She has some awesome lives with some really sharp sisters, and her movement, if she can put the hashtag down, is a movement that is not anti-sector, but I think it's pro moving forward. It's positive. It's not based on gossip or rumors or any of that stuff. Tell us a little bit about your movement, This Beach, and the goals for your channel this year.
Oh, hey, Chad. I have a question too. I won't be on
Mhm.
long because I'm. How come every time I say I'm not clicking back on somebody? See, you make it worth coming back on. That's why y'all you gotta conserve your energy. I did shut down today for quite some time because I was still the life out of you, and so I have a little bit to give, at least to ask, so I can try to get something forward back into me because I got my own dilemma. But we got my channel. It's got a couple of little things. It doesn't have. It's not about one thing. It originated. I came over from the hip hop. Music was the motivation, but the way I'm integrating it just includes everything except for fuckery,
Mm-hmm.
CPS cases, or worthless gossip.
No, you
Um,
mean no doxing?
right. We don't. No one cares about that. It needs to be. We don't do boring. I don't like boring. I don't like boring people. I don't want to talk about boring stuff. I want to, it has to represent my character, how I feel. So whether it has 10 people in the room or 10,000, if they're not going to be on the same page, they just don't need to come because nobody wants to do this. Hear the how many times can you hear the same thing? It's like when a TV show comes on, y'all know we don't watch reruns like that. Once you've seen the season or something, the chances of you going back watching that episode 25 times are it's not gonna happen. So once you've seen it, you've seen it. That's how I go on me, and I get bored easily. So you got to switch it up for me. But is what he was talking about the movement. A while back when I first came on YouTube, I was like that I was trying to move over my Instagram here and Twitter people, and I said, "This is boring. What the heck is going on here? This is so boring. Like related." And I was like, "What's wrong? Where's everybody at? Shake it up, shake it up. What am I missing?" And I did a Game Changers. I used to always use that on Twitter. Then I did a game. I came on YouTube asking, where are the people at who are not boring? Where are the people who want to kind of shake it up? Let's make it. Let's talk about real stuff. And it took me forever. It's almost like I had to pull out some binoculars and scout people out. But I'm doing pretty good. It's taken a few months, but that's better than years, right? To
Right, right.
out what it is I'm looking for that's going to work, because I can't even bring over the people that I want to come on and interview and talk to, because their audience is like, oh man, they're not flying with that. I just know they're not with it, because I wouldn't be either. It's like some boring people. What the people have, it's like a magazine. You flip through a magazine and look for a page. It's got to catch your attention. It's got
That's
to catch
right.
your attention. Even from what I'm wearing, that's a totally promotional item that's brought over from the hip hop community. All of that ties into it. But the Game Changers movement, and I said united, because Game Changers could, when you're doing it together, it just sounds better. One person can be a game changer, but united brings in more than just, it's not just about you. You see, I can come in, I can change the game by myself, but when you're united, it's several people who are switching it up. So it's kind of just a thing that I thought, a while back, and I was hashtagging it, and then I picked it back up, because actually people now are, it makes sense to people now. Like, I see what she's trying to say. We are bored. They don't want to say it on other people's platform. We already heard this morning. We heard this already. We talked. They don't want to say that, but they still want to be entertained, because a lot of folks don't have cable anymore. They're not, they've even let their Netflix go. Hey, that's not a good idea, you guys. Netflix has some good stuff.
All right.
But
Well, let me ask you this question: have you done your homework on for Tantric Tuesday?
yes, some of it, and this is why okay, before we get that slide, we got stuck today. We talked about it. You're gonna have to help us break down, okay, the intro, where to start, because there's a lot with this. And I was gonna probably add you on your page by tomorrow, I said, and
Mm-hmm.
ask you for the intro, because I know it's not gonna all be able. It's gonna have to be a couple of Tuesday, a couple of sessions for this. But to start, were you good with where should we start at because we're starting from scratch, is if we know nothing. So you pros, and you're the one who's really going to be leading that. And I was going to ask you on, just hit you up in your comments and be like, hey, what do you suggest that we start, so we can focus on that area, so we're not all over the place. So because last time was just a jump in and let's go for it, jumping off the porch with let's spice it up, take it off Tuesday. But this time we are going to try to make it a little more structured. A lot more people probably have been invited to come and want to come, and it is kind of an invitation thing. It is kind of yeah, we kind of want people who want to be there. We kind of want somebody who ain't going to come jump in the chat talking about, so what y'all think about so and so wig? Girl, we don't care about the so and so wig. Wigs get
Right,
pulled off
right.
over here, okay? We're not. This ain't the place for you. Keep it moving, So, do you? I think I was going to ask you, and I guess I might as well now before I get to my question. And
Mm-hmm.
how you doing, Miss Vita? I'm so sorry. Nice to hear you talk, honey. And then I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to be listening to you guys. But do you want us to start with the breathing, or the end, and then you kind of, is that where you want us to start?
Well,
Because we
first I
can't
want
jump
to.
all the way to
First,
the
I want to.
advanced part.
Well, first I want to start with your belief system. First, do you think it's hocus pocus? Do you think it's really feasible? Is it something you can incorporate into your lifestyle? Those are kind of the things I want to discuss first before I go into the meat and the bones of it. And as a matter of fact, we can start the pre-discussion here. Vita, are you still there?
Yes, hi, I'm here. It's a pleasure to meet you, Beat.
You too, Vita.
Thank
All right,
you,
if you
Ken.
can, yeah, if you can tell me what little, if you or whatever amount that you know about tantra, what have you learned in your uh just from living life.
You mean
I
Vita or
Well,
okay?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't know where to start exactly, because for me personally, it wasn't something that was connected to like a physical body. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't someone that I had ever touched physically. Um, it was just something that was a very strong feeling, like a very strong energy. So I felt that person intensely, and from from then on, that's how it became more astral. Um, I'm gonna try to find words for it. I'm sorry, I don't usually speak publicly.
No, you're fine. You are fine. Go ahead. I mean, take your time. There's no reason to be nervous. Like I say, you're around friends, and we're all here to learn from each other. Like I say, everyone hasn't heard of Tantra, but people have heard of energy. They've heard of auras, and me being in, and I don't use this term lightly when I say that I'm an empath. Um,
Right.
I don't take that as a joke. I don't think I have magical powers, but I am able to read people. I can read people from across the room or right up in their face. You know, I notice features, things that people do, whether it's a toe tap, uh, whether they rub their finger ring, whether, their eyebrow raises at certain things. I mean, I watch people's everything, and I pick up on expressions and I can feel that person's energy and know whether they're having a bad day, a good day. I need to leave this person alone. This person needs to talk about something. Whatever it is, I feel it. And I felt it since I was a kid. I just didn't have a name for it. I didn't
Mhm.
understand what it was. But there's also a downside, and that's attracting narcissists. It's
Correct.
attracting arrogant people or people that really don't care, people that are there to use you because they feel that energy. Now,
Energetic vampires, right?
right. Yeah, energy
I understand
vampires,
what you
exactly.
mean. I was the same way as a child. It's a very confusing subject. I
Right.
Well, I
Now,
have a question. You guys are
uh
so good in rehearse on the energy, and that I just really I rather listen more today because I got to figure something. Like, remember, slide when I was saying I know I've tapped into something, but I don't have a way to explain it. I don't have the words, but I know what I know. I don't know how I do what I do, but I know when I'm doing it, what I'm doing. If that make any sense,
well, tell me
I
what it
appreciate.
feels like. Tell me what it
What
feels
I
like.
mean, I'll tell you today. This is a different experience today. This is okay. I wasn't with anybody today. I was minding my business, a separate day,
Hmm.
and I got a phone call right from, let's say, the ex situation, and they wanted to talk, and I thought, I really didn't want to, but I didn't want to be mean, So I said I'll give them a couple minutes because I always said, whether or not we're together anymore, I'm not going to be cruel and just not, make you feel thrown away because I don't. If I feel like you're disposable, I shouldn't have been dealing with you in the first place. So I took the phone call, right?
Hmm.
I don't know what happened, but maybe it's the direction that they were or their intentions of talking to me or whatever it was. I started to get sick. I started to feel horrible. I started to get really hot. I started to feel flustered. I started to feel all these weird, like overcome with of energy that was not happy with me at all. I could say somebody doesn't want me on the phone, which I could feel it. And all I kept thinking about, I was rushing the conversation because all I
Hmm.
kept thinking was, I got to get off the phone with you. And they had done nothing wrong. They were being kind. They were being sweet. They were being really, really cool. Like they weren't even being disrespectful. But because I have connected with somebody else on a different level,
See anything.
I don't know if they felt that, but I had to get off the phone with them. Does that make any sense? It felt
It,
like get off the
it,
phone with this guy. Yeah, it
it,
felt
it
like you.
does. Give me 1 second, Beach. I did want to introduce another content creator. We have Kitty's Corner in the house. Welcome, Kitty. Can you hear me? Another content creator. We have Kitty's Corner in the house. Welcome,
Hi,
Kitty. Can
Kitty.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
welcome, Kitty. Before we answer Beach's question, because it does sound like her spirit is telling her to, with everything in her power, to run from that situation. But I'd love to hear the ladies' opinion on that. But before we do, Kitty, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about your channel briefly, and then we'll go back to Beach's situation.
What do you want to know? I run a tarot channel. I'm a spiritualist.
Okay, Kitty. I'll
Hi,
be
well,
sure to
Kitty.
subscribe if
Get
I haven't already.
every roach row.
well,
I
well,
missed
well,
the conversation, so I don't have anything to add.
well, let me tell you about Kitty. Kitty's Corner is a place of peace. Whenever I go to her channel, I feel totally relaxed. Um, she does tarot readings, and even though I've never asked for a reading myself, I've learned a lot about it. I've also done interview with a tarot card reader by the name of April LaShawn, who was also it was also very enlightening for me. So Kitty's Corner again is a place that I call home for the times that she posts at least once every day or every other day. I try to drop in and just listen. I know there's a lot of people looking for love. There's a lot of people asking questions about this year and their aspirations, and most of the people walk away feeling hopeful after speaking to Kitty. So, regardless of what, I feel the power and the positive energy that she projects, the love that she has to give, and I welcome her. So, again, thank you, Kitty, for stopping by. And if you missed what Beach was saying, she got an ill feeling when she was talking to who you said it was an ex on the phone.
Yes, it was an ex, and we had it was a very healthy relationship. It was no one's perfect, but it was awesome. We had connected. It was great, but the time was the time was up for
Mm-hmm.
and it's peaceful. There was no bad blood to the parting of ways, and it was no bad blood, no scornness, no broken hearts. It couldn't get any more peaceful. Like it sounded like a cheesy movie. But I said, let's not be strangers. You check on me when you feel like you, and I'll try to check on you to make sure you're okay. And then if our paths ever come back together, then it does. But I got to do what I got to do, and they respected that. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe they were missing me today. I don't know what their energy was, but I have never felt another possessive energy. What was the angry feeling that I was feeling that did not want me talking to them. I've never felt that. Today was I started to feel emotionally sick. I got hot. So I was about to turn the AC on. It is, y'all know it is not summertime. I felt nauseous. I couldn't eat. I literally, not just emotionally, physically, my hands were shaking. It was almost like I was doing something wrong, but yet I wasn't doing anything. The conversation did not disrespect my current person. It didn't. I wasn't getting out of pocket with the none of that. It was no reason. I was like, so it's almost like I felt a jealous energy that was like, get off the phone with him. You know what I mean? I don't know what that was, but that was new. And I thought I was pretty much in touch with things I feel, but I don't know what that was. Or was it that person's really secretly angry? Were they really angry, but not I was feeling their energy? I don't know what I felt, but I didn't like it. And it made me feel really sick. And I don't understand that. So is it possible that once you lost or cease to connect, because there's definitely no connection there, like there's nothing still there with them. I can tell you that if one connection ends with one person that you somehow connected with, I know whether it's tantric or whatever or don't know, but you definitely spiritually connected with someone, that's over. You connect with someone else, so you no longer even have that with this other person, or you cease to, or you broke it. You cease to acknowledge its existence or whatever, or severed the connection. What would make you feel sick to even speak to them? Does that have anything to do with the new situation or the new connection, or is that something else? Because I want to be. This is serious, and I can't be playing around. And I got too much on the line. I put it to you that way. Too much is on the line for me to be taking chances, and step the wrong way and
Well,
end up.
let me ask you a question. Is this somebody that you made love to in the past?
Yes, there's an ex. There's definitely an ex.
It had to be really, really good to feel that way just talking to that man.
But
Because
I
you know
never
what, the
felt.
weird thing about a drug, because like I always told, what did I say the other night about sex being a drug? And sometimes a flashback, acid flashback, which I have a little bit of experience with that too in my past days. A flashback is not cool, no matter how great the dose was. The after dose that hits you 6 months later on an elevator when you least suspect it, it doesn't feel as good as the first time. So it had to be an awesome experience with this person.
Yeah, but it's over, and I'm cool with that. Like that was like I'm on something new. I mean, I'm on some new shit. You know what I mean? So like,
Ladies, help me here, because I don't know. I feel like I'm making a connection here, but I also feel like there's something I'm missing.
Yeah, I'm on something
Okay.
new. I got something else new going on. I mean, sometimes you upgrade to your life. You know, life
My
is. I want something else. I put it to you that way, and I'm not looking back. I'm also not discarding ex friendships. There's no reason for that. But what in the world would make me feel sick? What would make me feel like somebody? It's
What?
almost felt like somebody was standing behind me. Like, girl, if you don't get off the phone with this man right now, like they like. It's almost like my new.
God.
Okay, go ahead, Kitty. Let her know.
Ooh, did somebody say God?
It's God. It's God. It's God speaking directly to you through your intuition. Yes.
Elaborate a little bit, Kitty. The same way you would if you were reading.
It's God, honey.
So God
Okay.
was
So
not happy with
you have
me
your
speaking with my
intuition,
ex.
and God is speaking directly to you,
They were
and it's
trying to
your
sneak
spirit.
up, they were trying to sneak and see me, and I was like,
I
no,
have
that's
a
not a good
huge
idea.
echo, so I apologize. But
I don't think you should, stop by and say, hey, I'm good, I'm well, I'm fine. You don't need to stop by.
if
I'm
you really want to
okay.
respect,
Go
My
ahead,
new
Kitty.
thing. Right. I don't think you should be stopping by. Yeah. But I never brought this not their business because I don't want
if
to
you want
upset
to respect
anybody.
the one that you're with, you have to sever
Absolutely. Okay. So then
all. You have to
does it
sever all ties with him
oh
because
shit.
it will ruin your relationship.
All right. Someone else has already told me that. And she may not even read tarot, but she's told me this already to
It's true,
completely
honey. It's an
contact. And
interference.
I feel like I was like, but that was almost 2 years of my life. Like that was a person that there's a lot of history there. How am I gonna
You're
just
almost making excuses not to.
cut off completely? That's like throwing away I feel like I know what it feels like to be treated disposable. And I feel like with people, I don't know how to just be like, okay, I don't need you no more. It's thanks for the ride. It's over. So I'm just gonna cast you to the side,
But you upgraded,
and
baby.
act like it never existed. I feel like that's cruel. I don't want to be cruel to anybody. I don't want anybody to do that to me. So I feel like I owe them at least a friend. That was there saying, well, can't you be my friend? Like, can we? And I'm like, but I am your friend. That doesn't mean we have to see each other. You just got to know I'm okay and you're okay. And if something's wrong or something happens, you can call me. But we don't need to see. You don't need to be coming like that. Doesn't have to. I have no friends that I haven't seen in years. So that's no excuse to see me. Like, be fair to the agreement of let me live my life. But I don't know why the anger. Where I do not know what that. I've never felt that before. And I tell you, it was angry. My hands were shaking. I literally couldn't wait to get off the phone. I thought, what? And I was sick. It took me about 30 minutes to calm down, to take off my shirt. I felt an intense displeased
Uh,
emotion just from
but,
talking to them. It was a regular conversation. I don't understand it. So that was my only question.
yeah, thank you
And
for that, Beach. I do want to get Vita's feedback as well before I go to the chat about the situation. What do you do when you speak to an old lover and instead of feeling washed over with love and joy for hearing their voice, you almost feel a sickness, almost a pain? You know what that sounds like to me? That sounds a lot like love. Get at me in the chat. We have Vivian Jennings in the house. We have the Tarot Magician,
I
Oracle
just
Mother
laugh. I'm
Ether.
sorry. I
Welcome.
didn't mean to laugh, slide, but I don't. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at love. I'm for love. I am like the poster child for let's love. We could all just live in love. I would be the happiest person on the planet. I want to chase butterflies and love all day, but that's not the reality. But if you're trying to say that I me and having love for them, I that ain't what I was feeling. I'm not reading that. I didn't get that at all. I got let me get off the phone and get away. Are you saying love for them or love for somebody else? I'm confused.
I'm just saying that love hurts, just like the song says. And sometimes the most hurting kind of love. You know, the time I felt, it's funny to me. It's not funny, but I see the humor because I went through a similar situation. Hold on one second. I hear somebody's background noise, Kitty.
Vivian, I saw your comment. You wait. I saw
Yeah.
Vivian's.
That's my furnace. I'm sorry.
Okay. No problem.
turn off again.
Vita, are you still there? Yeah, Vita. I'm sorry. I do want to hear your feedback on Beach's situation. I want to hear from Kitty and then from the chat real quick. Your opinion. Kitty's was pretty clear that it was God's way of telling her to back away quickly. Have you ever had an experience with a lover other than your husband, like say before you met him, say that puppy love where you felt like you couldn't be without that person, and then you had to call it quits and then talk to that person again afterwards, what you felt like?
Other than my first husband, no, I wouldn't say that. And I do have to agree and with what Kitty was saying, because it is absolutely intuition. However way you wish to take it spiritually, everyone sees God in different ways, you know. And a lot of the time people forget that we have that, part of God inside of ourselves.
Right.
So if you really listen to your gut, it is your intuition telling you, okay, something's wrong, I need to back away from this. It could be in the way that you're feeling about the situation. It could be, something you're picking up of them, like their own vibration, so it's difficult to say. The other thing I would have to say is that we unfortunately are all I don't know how to phrase this correctly without sounding
No, just speak from your heart. That's what we do here.
well, we're all people, so we get really confused in ego. So whenever we do remember something that we really love, sometimes we often remember something that we really don't like, or like something that hurt us. So that feeling of like, well, I love this person, but I hate them. You know what I mean? Sometimes that gets a bit confusing and can cloud like your judgment. But if you haven't spoken to the person and you had said, Beach, that you were coming from a place of love, I also feel like you don't want to let them go, and like that in a way is also ego. Not that that's always like a very bad thing. It's just something that you have to look deep inside of yourself and say like, okay, well, what was this connection with this person? Is it really over? And you wouldn't feel so emotional over it if it meant nothing to you.
That's interesting.
Just
I did. It's not that it did mean something. It meant everything to me in the time that was allotted. It was everything. I'm not discarding it. That's why I said I don't know how to make people disposable that were really important, like not leading them on. I'm not that chick. I don't play with people's feelings. I don't play with men. I don't play with women. I don't play with anybody's emotions. If I'm not into you, I'm not into you. If we're not seeing each other, I make it quite clear. If I don't want you to come over, I don't say that, and then you knocking at my door talking about we're just gonna watch some Netflix and chill. No, we're not. There will be no thing. You better take a picture. Look, you got to pull a picture out of me and go reminisce. But what you're not gonna do is be up in my face or me, because I don't want to lead anybody on. I don't like that. I know what it feels like to have to be played with. So I'm not playing with nobody else. So how I don't want to, am I being like a pushover? And I'm not a pushover. Am I like?
No, you're a strong woman. But
somebody
Oracle
don't like me talking to him. I tell you that, and someone did not like me answering that phone. Whereas
I feel like Oracle hit it on the head when she says that sex is spiritual. If you haven't cleansed his energy, he will come back. I totally 100% believe that. I was trying to verbalize it, but I couldn't find the words. But I think that Oracle of the Ether, slow clap, says she hit it on the head. Let me see. I believe Kitty is back.
I hope so.
But I think that Oracle of the Ether, slow clap, says she hit it on the head. Let me see. I believe Kitty is back. I've got to mute something here.
I hope so.
But I think that for the Ether, slow clap says she hit it on the head.
Well, the only thing would have the cleanse, because if there's inside, it would maybe our objects, like say how you clean your house and you get rid of stuff don't need to be in there no more. There's a couple of little things I don't need in here. I just realized it. Cleanse, because if there's inside, it would maybe our objects, like say how you clean your house and you get rid of stuff don't need to be in there no more. There's a couple of little things I don't need in here. I just realized it. Cleanse, because if there's inside, it would maybe objects like, say, you know how you clean your house and you get rid of stuff don't need to be in there no more. There's a couple little things I don't need in here. I just realized it cleans because if there's inside, it would maybe objects like, say, you know how you clean your house.
Anybody else hear that?
Are we having sound issues?
Yeah, like what? Okay, now it sounds okay. It was
okay. It may have been a volume issue. I'm sorry about that, guys.
That's
Just let me do a
okay.
quick re-intro here. This is Slide's Saturday Night Sex Talk with Friends. Tonight we have some YouTube celebs in the house. We have Kitty's Corner. She's back. Welcome. We also have Beach right now, who is telling us about a unique situation, and it has to do with sex loosely and the emotional ties to sex, which is why I'm glad I have very spiritual, very strong women in the chat with me tonight, and some really strong guys in the chat to back me up as well, because these are things we can learn from, so that if we're ever in this situation ourselves. And also welcome to everybody who was able to make it. Vita was sweet to be able to chime in tonight. The Truth, welcome. I'm sorry you weren't able to get into the stream. If you are, you're still welcome. Keekan, Andrea, Vivian, Eric, welcome. Oracle of the Ether, the Tarot Magician, and most of these are content creators. Click the three dots by their name so you can subscribe. The one time that I felt that level of love-hate was when I talked to the ex that cheated on me with my best friend. For 2 weeks straight, I felt like I had a knife in my chest. And every morning I woke up, every night I went to sleep. I mean, it was like I was even dreaming about it. Like there was nothing I could do to overcome not only losing my best friend from before teenagers. I'm talking about grew up together from 9 to 10 years old to the time that we were 19 and this happened. The first time I talked to her after that, I mean, the emotions that I was going through, the things I wanted to say for months, like I say, it was like it all washed over me, and I could see her doing what she did, and I think about the good times we had too. So yeah, it made me a little nauseous the very first time. I mean, I was nervous, and I felt that same sickness wash over me, but I could honestly say that there was still part of me that still loved her. You know, in some weird way, maybe my friend took advantage of her. Maybe, it was a mistake. I started even making excuses for her, but it was different for me because I didn't have anybody who I felt like was a better situation. But do you really feel like, what is it that makes this person better? You say you upgraded. What is it that makes this person a better fit for you?
I'm just trying to be delicate with my words because there are some people that are way too nosy.
Okay.
And I don't need to feed them anything, to try to put pieces together already. They're trying to figure out, because this is not their business, This is not their freaking business how I run my life.
No, but I appreciate you sharing your situation. I think, again, it's something we can all learn from.
I've spoken with them before on other occasions. It's kind of like this isn't the first time I picked up the phone. At least once every other two, I try to, hey, how are you? Or I hope hey, I saw you call, and I'm not being rude or ignoring you, like that. This is the only time I felt something angry that made me feel bad. I've never felt that before, and it was only during that conversation. All right, it was only during the conversation. It wasn't before that. It wasn't after. It wasn't something I ate. I can't. I know what's going on. I'm in tune with my emotions, just like I'm in tune. Like there's nothing there for me to go back to. That door is closed.
Do you feel like you could speak to your current guy at all about it? You don't have to answer that, but if you want to, for the sake of
no, because I don't want them talking to me about I trust them that they got something they need to be handling, that they're doing what they're supposed to do on their end. Who needs to be, we are still humans and people get jealous.
Well, how would you expect him to handle it if he had the same situation on his end? He's got this ex who, when he talks to her, he's like, no, I'm moving on. But they're like, but remember all the good times we had and how good it was to you.
Right. And it's like, yeah, appreciate that, hey, but those were it's that. So, but what is the anger? That's the only thing I was trying to figure out is who would be like. And I've got to heard a couple of responses. What was angry? Where the anger come from? Because even with them, they weren't angry talking to me, even though I did shut them down by coming by or hanging out. I shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they were very cool and calm, and I was whatever, but I never had felt that was different. And I just was curious that what would make was it me feeling repulsed or from I wouldn't think I would feel that way, or was it really something that was saying no, 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 you can't, why can't I be kind? I don't know, do you have to completely to wipe somebody out their entire existence with you, even if it didn't end on bad terms, to be done with them? Is that what y'all saying? Like you have to do that? Because that seems so harsh.
I had to do that at one point with somebody I was very, very close to. I considered a friend, but she wanted it to be the way it was when we were together. It could never happen again. The attraction wasn't
Ever.
there. Times changed. We
Right.
changed as people, and she would not let it go. I believe I was explaining it to, I don't know if it was you or Kitty. I was telling about it, where she would go to my mother, and she would
Yes, you did.
okay, so it was you I told about her. So you're familiar with that young lady. The steps that she would go through. For those of you who don't know, she would go to my mother's house and use her and go there on Mother's Day, go there on holidays, leave a card, and try to have these extended conversations about everything I did wrong, everything she did right, and try to find out who I'm doing it with now. Uh, so the ladies did say that that was unfair for her to be using my mother like that, and I thought about it, and it's true. Um, so the best thing for me to do was uh, erase her number, block her number, and keep her from that level of contact with me. Because if I had left that inch of contact, she was going to take a foot every time and be right back in my life, be right back in my house, and I didn't need that. Not to be able to move forward and be happy. I'm not. I mean, I'm not. I didn't kill her, literally. I just had to disconnect her from my life, or else she was going to be lingering there,
It's
hoping
interruptive.
that I would be there. Go ahead, Kitty. Go ahead, love. I'm glad you're back because I'm about to move to the next topic of the night. But again, we do want to help our sister in need because
It's
that's
Thank
a
you.
very
scary
I'm not.
feeling.
interruptive, and
I,
he'll
I didn't.
constantly come back.
I don't want to
I
hog
was
the
trying to
floor, you
fix the
guys.
issue with the noise.
Yeah, I don't want to hog the floor. I that was my one question, but I'm not going to let it take up the time. And there are a lot of other people that got stuff to say. I think a couple of you all were. I. It didn't take much for me to. I can stand around and take a
It's
look
just time
around
to
it.
sever all ties.
Mm, they just
Yeah,
didn't. So
I
am I? So
agree.
what? Am I a sucker? So I'm that sucker that I can do that with some people. Like no problem. It's like I never knew you, but for some people, it just feels so cold. Like how do you just? It feels like people like how people aren't disposable to me, and I have a hard time just. Well, no, I'm lying. See, I'm lying right there because there's some folks I've told lose my number, and I'll pretend I never knew them. So that's not true for me to pretend. I'm lying there to say, oh, I feel I have no feelings for some people who swore I love them, and
Well, the good
when I
times
say
will still be in your heart. The good times will still be in your mind.
I don't
But you know
reflect
the
though.
price that
I
you'd
can't
have to
find.
pay.
But I don't. Yeah, I don't reflect. I don't see nothing there. I feel nothing. Like there's nothing lingering. Like people are like, well, maybe you're hanging on. No, there's nothing there. I'm pretty sure. I looked for it. When I say there's nothing there, because I want to check for myself. There ain't nothing there. There's something. I'm good. But I just don't know what. I don't. I don't usually deal with angry. I don't feel angry. I just don't have angry energy around me. There's no reason for something that to be except for somebody jealous. I know men get jealous. Probably women, well, we all get jealous to a certain degree, but I know testosterone. You know what it felt like? It felt like being in a room with two men with extra testosterone, and one of them was like, one of y'all got to go, but one can stay. That's
Well, how
exactly what
how
it felt like. And
spiritually connected are you to um your new
current,
significant other?
apparently a lot more than I thought I was, but I didn't, I wasn't doubting it. But if that was a tug of war match of energies, only one of them came out to champ. But I can assure you, he wasn't even on the phone or even in the room. So if it's that, then I got to start. I maybe need to start an approach to what I'm doing a little different, because that's not gonna work. I can't be feeling like a tug of war,
Right.
because that somebody did, people tug of war hurts, you know what I mean? And I don't want to end up being a subject of hurt people do things.
Well, one thing
But
I would say that you could do that I definitely would suggest is focus that energy, that anxiety on the one that makes you feel good now, and reinforce that connection. Take that energy, that anxiety, that doubt, and that fear, and put it into him, and do something extra special for him. Make him feel like the man. Let him feel that waterfall, as we call it, of love and emotion that you have to give, but turn it positive and turn it all 100% on him.
all
And
right, I now that I like, see that right there, that's exactly what I've been doing. And I'm glad you said that, because I can at least exit and listen to you guys in peace, because that is exactly what I have been doing. So I think, even said in different ways, we're on the same page. Regardless of what people believe, we can get into the same energy. There is a question in the chat I like to answer really quick. Miss Betty White, you are concerned about my profile pic. Can you read my shirt? Can you zoom in on my profile picture? Because maybe you have problems of understanding. I can help you get through this, honey. Okay. You said, why is that my profile pic? Because that's what I look like. Now, where's your profile pic? That's my profile pic because I'm wearing a bodysuit of an artist label of a movement called No Fuck Boys. It's in pink and green, the colors of my organization. And it also is from a woman I respect and represent that made this in her line of clothing brand. I'm wearing it also on my other promotional pages and social media pages. Now, I don't know what size you wear. That's a small. Would you like for me to order you one? Now, I can't get you the pink and green because you don't rock with us like that. But would you like for me to order you one, honey? What size do you wear? 3XL? I'll be
yeah,
happy to. I don't know if we make your size, but what is it you want, Betty?
nah, my Betty
Hmm?
White will look hot for her hubby in whatever bodysuit she
She
wants to
wants.
wear.
Oh,
She's
she
the
wants
homie.
to know what. Or
Uh,
she wants to know so much about my profile pic. I want to know why she's so concerned.
Nah, we're gonna keep the energy positive here. Maybe
Right. Hmm.
like I said, I know Betty. She like I say, this is a uncensored zone, and people are allowed to ask whatever questions they want.
Well,
But
she
we
asked and I
also want to
answered
keep it
it. Did
100.
I
No,
answer
not
it? Well, did I answer it good enough? I just want to make sure I clear. Was that good? And that's my
you're
profile
allowed.
pic. Also, that's me, Betty. That's me, honey, all the way from the head to the toe. You can't see my toes. Would you like for me to wear? It's called a bodysuit. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but some of us wear more clothing. Some of us wear less clothing. I mean, some of us wear what we want. Some of us work in industry stuff. Is that good enough for you? You
And
good?
if she wants to
Mm-hmm.
hold her kitty, Betty, that's all good. All right, so
I'm
now
not holding, but I'm not holding I'm holding a rose. You
right. All
sound
right,
like kitty.
so we're gonna move on to the next topic of the night.
Thank you, guys. All
Uh
right, I'm in the chat. All right.
yeah, and I want the ladies to chime in, and maybe you can chime in before you leave. I don't want you to rush off, but I don't want to hold you up either. But I do want to ask this question, and I believe that uh Vita knows the question and has had the chance to think about it. I'm going to toss it around the circle, starting with Kitty, and that's going to go. And first, let me check out the chat. Kitty says, "Sounds like you need to break the spiritual cord. Let him go grieve uh, the loss and go knock boots with the new." I agree with Kitty, and we're going to move on. A lot of people, when they talk about sex, especially in the black community, talk about freaky. And I'd like the definition of freaky. How far does sex have to go, whether it's BDSM, whether it's golden showers, whether it's play with, what they call doo doo? What what determines freaky for you? What limits and lines do you draw, starting with Kitty? Hello, Kitty. Are you there?
Hello, Kitty.
All right, looks like she's still in the chat. So Vita, you've had a
Oh
chance to think
Lord.
about this. Okay,
The
yeah,
myth.
okay,
Oh,
Kitty's there.
Kitty.
What lines do I draw?
Like what
I
determines
don't.
freaky?
It
Because
depends on the person, but like, can you hear me?
yeah, and
Yes.
again, this is a no judgment zone for those people who are new. So I'm not here to denounce what you do or put down what you do. Again, I talk to people of different backgrounds, spiritual beliefs. So, I appreciate everybody's different feedback, but everybody has their definition of what a freak is. You live in the Amish community. I'm sure anything different from the missionary position would probably be considered taboo. So, I appreciate your different cultural experiences. And I wanted to ask Vita too, because uh, I wanted to know some of the cultural differences as well as what people call freaky, outside of the black community. Because there's a lot of stereotypes that say, well, white girls will do anything and they'll slide upside down on a pole and do whatever. And that's not necessarily true. And we debunked that myth in a chat several nights ago. But again, I'd like to hear your definition of freaky and what you think is too far. Hello.
Hello.
Kitty, are you still there? Are you muted? If you need some time, that's okay. Go ahead, Vita,
Vita,
and
right?
tell me what you feel like is say this is where I draw the line, but this is okay, or maybe we could try this, or maybe not that.
Okay. Well, outside of the whole zone
No,
of
I'm not
the
muted.
no
There's
consent
just a
thing,
huge lag.
Oh, there's lag. Okay, I'm sorry about that.
enormous lag.
Okay, well, let me give you time to answer then, Vita first, and then we'll go back to Kitty.
No, Kitty first. I'm nervous. I'm new at this.
Okay. We'll give Kitty time to respond then. Sorry for the delay, you guys, but Kitty, you can start speaking at any time. Go ahead, Kitty.
Okay, well, for me, sex at this age is more spiritual. In my youth, I could do anything, and I mean anything, not anything. I mean, I have my limits. I'm not licking poo. I'm not eating shit, and I'm not doing golden showers.
Amen.
But at this stage in the game, sex is more about the spiritual and getting to know someone and being able to just inhale that person. And when I have the true connection with somebody today, sex is beautiful. It's more spiritual and there's no inhibition. And I would consider anything if it was to pleasure the other person. But I wouldn't do the things that I did in my youth. Choking and being beaten doesn't feel good. Having my ass whooped, tapped is fine, but everything in moderation and whatever is pleasant between the two people. So what I've done in my youth and in my younger years is much different than sex today.
So if you found a man, say about 42 years old, Virgo, very spiritually connected, um, that you maybe wouldn't want to unlock those boxes once again, maybe, possibly in the future. Ooh, that laugh says maybe.
If he could breathe me in.
If he could breathe you in. But speaking of limits, I believe that I agree with the chat. Oracle says I think anal is too much. Yeah, That I mean, that's one of the lines I draw. 'Cause I don't want anything in my behind. Um, I don't believe in being playing with fecal matter or urine. I think that's freaky. But back 20 years ago, people thought that oral sex was freaky, and according to most of the chats I've been a part of, now they figure it's a necessity. Um, do you feel like oral sex is a necessity in modern day dating? Either one of you can answer that. And the chat, I'd like to hear from you as well. Do you have to quote unquote give head to keep your man?
Yes.
All right, I've heard other ladies explain it, but I'd like to hear your take.
Well, it's the same thing that you would expect, like, and something that you would also
What
be
if I
interested in.
enjoy? What if I enjoy it?
Exactly.
Right, because I have heard women say that they can become aroused by giving a guy head and be,
I guess the question
ready.
is,
Mhm. The question is, and again, I'm sorry for any delays if you guys can't hear me, but tonight is the Saturday night sex chat with friends. We have Kitty's Tarot Corner in the house. We have Oracle at Ether in the chat. Betty White, welcome. The Truth is still in the house. The Beach is better. Make sure you check her out. Uh, Very interesting situation with her and the feeling with her old lover as opposed to her new lover. We also have Vita in the house. Vita's been very patient and waiting in the chat and also giving her feedback on the issues of tonight. The new topic we're discussing is freakiness and what is the line you draw. Now, some people say they like to be choked out. Some people say they like to be spanked. You say that you more or less grew out of that. Um, do you feel like you were dominant in that situation, or are there times where you enjoyed more being submissive, or is it something that changes over the years? Kind of, I'm still learning about that level of energy. So tell me about your dealings with that kind of pain for pleasure.
I never enjoyed it. It was just I would say that it was childhood trauma and just a way of keeping someone. It was more about attention seeking behavior and doing whatever I thought the person wanted versus communication, talking, and actually learning the person.
Hmm. Okay, so that's interesting. I know that a lot of people just quote unquote get off on pain. Have you ever been a man that you felt like got off on pain or allowed you to be the dominant over him?
So, like in my youth,
Hmm. In your youth?
You're still young today.
yes,
Well, what about you,
I
Vita?
have.
It
In
is
regards, I'm sorry, please rephrase the question.
yeah to finding pleasure in pain or finding pleasure in being the one that maybe holds the whip as opposed to being on the other end of it.
I have actually been on both ends of that, what many would call a switch, where sometimes I do very much enjoy being dominant, and other times I enjoy being submissive. It would most definitely depend on the partner and the situation. In regards to drawing a line, it absolutely has to be something that's consensual. So, if it's non consent, then that's pretty much the line. And the whole poo and pee thing is pretty creepy. So I would say it's a little freaky for me also. Um, but, everyone has different tolerance levels to what they enjoy.
Right.
Everyone has
And
their own perception of like what they need and what they like and what they wish to experience from it, whether they like to feel that pain, it like, whether it's from some sort of trauma or if it's like their choice, like that as long as it's someone's choice, then that's fine. But for me personally, definitely limits with the whole bodily secretions and stuff. It's a bit weird.
well, the thing is, I don't see a problem with switching roles, so to speak, because that is self discovery. That's how you really know what you like and where you stand. In my life, I always have to be dominant, whether it's at my job, the way I carry myself, as far as coming from the management background, coming from a military background, there's a certain level of discipline that I carry myself with. So I've always had to be, good guy John. Of course, good guy John would love to let his guard down and be around somebody that he trusts so that he can let his guard down, because I never get the opportunity to let my guard down. I'm always on the alert. I'm always worrying about, okay, where are my enemies coming from now? And I'm always on guard. So when I can be around somebody that helps me relieve that guard, it helps me relieve stress. But I guess as a black man, the one thing we're always told is we have to be dominant. We have to be on top. You have to, I don't know, we're almost over sexualized like we're demons or animals. And some of us are taught wrong. And me being an empath, I was really thrown off until I grew up and became comfortable enough to say, you know what, if I'm going to be in touch with a woman's sensitive side, that's okay. For some men, that's hard. And a man that's never learned that, they may have those tendencies and traits to want to take it too far. And that's why we're here to learn, and if there's any guys that are listening, can maybe take a lesson from that. Because I know some guys that are aggressive caveman type guys, and as much as a woman might like quote unquote rough sex, they don't want to be abused, and the energy is different. There's a totally different energy between angry sex and rough sex when rough sex is not wanted. So I completely understand where that would be a line to draw. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because like I say, it's not just about the in and out of sex, but the spiritual connection, the good, the bad, the things we experience, the things we can learn from. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Oracle of the Ether in the chat says, I like a man to be dominant, not disrespectful. I think that's the point I was trying to make, because some men don't know the difference. And there are some women who also, up to their 30s, had never had a real orgasm, because they never had a man that cared enough to be tender, to establish a level of trust, communication. And that's where the thing with the spiritual energy, Tantra, that's where that comes up. The spiritual energy that Beach felt for her man was so profound that it made her physically ill. I guess the best advice that you could give somebody like that is to disconnect. But I want to talk about finding love. Most of us are over 40 now. If you don't mind sharing, Kitty, and I know there's a delay, so guys, pardon if there's about 10 seconds of silence in between questions. But what's one of the biggest challenges that you have as a single woman in 2020? And I'll share mine, and then we'll talk to Vita again about her difficulty long distance dating. Go ahead, Kitty, if you're still here, and then I'm gonna try to reset the stream. Maybe it'll
Okay, the
not have
biggest
this delay.
challenge in the dating world for me is meeting a man with of substance. You know, most men my age are coming out of long-term marriages, and some of them have been out, but they're still carrying a big chip on their shoulder. They got burned. They're angry. They they don't want a commitment, and they're just kind of like teenagers, but grown ass men. So it's challenging. They're not willing to really. Everybody wants to play house. They want, they want it all without doing any kind of work. And uh, and it's difficult to find someone that there is a connection with, because sex for me today is not pleasurable if we're both not on the same playing field. So
And when
casual sex doesn't work for me.
and when you say same playing field, uh, explain what you mean.
I mean, the physical, the spiritual, and the emotional levels. You know, I don't know. I'm a little bit of a weirdo, so and an introvert. People have a hard time understanding that I, I prefer to just be alone a lot of times. It's just trying to find somebody who is in the same. I guess just not the same person, but has the same interest and understanding. Wow, the lag is enormous here. But it's just the spiritual connection that you have with someone, that chemistry, that ignition, um, somebody that wants to that is actually committed to walking through the rest of your life with you. It's hard to find, because they're not like and the internet has a big huge part, because you know with Instagram and social media, everybody is tempted. So a lot of men cheat, like right in your face, and it's not a pleasant thing to go through. So for me, I'd rather just wait.
Okay. And I was able to reset the stream, so we may be a little bit closer in time. Uh, yeah, being an introvert has been one of the saving graces for me because I stay away from the BS. But when I do go out now, it's like I can read the energy in the room. And if I'm in an exhausting place, like if I'm in a nightclub and it's just like a terrible atmosphere, I can't stay long. It's not that I don't want to stay, it's just that I know that it's not for me. But if I'm in a welcoming atmosphere and people are having a good time laughing, I stick around, maybe get a female's attention or whatnot. But I don't know. I really don't want to bring anybody into my house unless I know that she's just about got to be the one. I mean, my city just got ranked one of the top 16 cities for venereal diseases in 2020 and 2018 or some study. So that scares me to death. Not only that, but um, just putting myself out there again. So, then being an empath and absorbing other people's energy, attracting narcissists, it's a challenge. That's my challenge. But Vita, on the other hand, is in love, even though her lover is miles away. Vita, tell us how you found your lover and give us single old fogies out here some inspiration.
Oh goodness. Okay. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. I think I fixed the delay. Thank goodness.
Oh, thank you kindly. Um, I know it sounds really silly, but I met my person through a video game.
What
Yeah.
game?
Elder Scrolls Online.
Elder Scrolls. Okay, I love Elder Scrolls. I played Oblivion. That's the last one I played.
Yeah. I don't do social media, and it was just kind of one of those weird I don't know. I guess like a fated situation, because my marriage at that time, to a military man, was falling downhill, and I really needed a friend, and I found this awesome person, and I connected instantly, before even speaking to them, just playing with them, messaging. We just felt each other. um I'm really trying to find words here. I just knew right away that that was my person, and they felt the same way. So eventually we started communicating in different ways, and it progressed into a marriage. And it is rather difficult to be far away, but the distance had made, like, that spiritual love Kitty was talking about,
Hmm.
much, much stronger than anything that could ever be physical. So for me, sex will never ever be the same, because I can have sex with my partner and they don't even have to be in the same country. They don't even have to be, on the phone with me or anything. They're just there with me, and we feel each other. So it's very different.
See, it's like being a Tantra Jedi. See, and it's different because those of us that are thinking about the physical connection, you guys are miles and miles away, but you still have that energy, you still have that love, and still have that energy connection that once it's connected, it can't be severed. And I believe that Beach may have felt it just in a different way, in a different situation, just the opposite, that bad energy that comes down the line. Well, not necessarily bad, but it's just not for her right now, not in her current situation. Maybe if she were single, maybe if the other guy, weren't there, it could be different for her, but hopefully she makes the right decision for her. I would say walk away. But
Mm.
but the rest of us here trying to find love, and that's a unique way to find it. I mean, you found it on a video game. I'm a gamer. I even have some female gamer followers and people who I follow on YouTube. So, guys, if you got a female gamer out there that you admire, you may need to drop her a line and let her know. I seem to be attracted to gypsy women myself, or something thereabouts. I'm not really sure how to explain it. I actually did have an experience where I met some gypsies one time at a club. They were not for me. The mother, her and I kind of winked at each other. We felt each other's energy. And it was the weirdest thing. It was this old lady that walked in with these two gorgeous girls. It looked like they were either Armenian or Lebanese. Dark hair, dark features. But like I say, they stood out in the crowd, but they were with this old lady
Weirdos.
that was like wearing beads and whatnot. And they were dancing with the soldiers and they were drinking and stuff, but the mom wouldn't drink. Let's say she just stood there and just watched the girls. And I knew what it was. And I said, I told my buddy Robert, he was in the chat with me last night when I had the celebration. And I said, dude, those are gypsies. I said, don't let them touch you. And I don't know what it was, but I'd never actually met a gypsy before in my life until that night. I knew what it was, and I haven't seen one since. No, yes, I did. I saw some in the parking lot one time. They said their mother was blind and were raising money. And they went from parking lot to parking lot in town until people started talking about them on Facebook, and eventually they went away. But those are the only other gypsies I've met for real. But I always dreamed that I would meet a woman that was spiritually connected, whether she be a medium, whether she be a tarot card reader, whether she be whatever. I just always felt like I would be with a woman like that, because no matter what, they have the most loving energy. And I guess you don't want that energy to be taken advantage of. Kitty, is that a part of this? Kitty may still have a delay, y'all. So I was hoping I fixed that. Again, go ahead and feel free to chat anytime, Kitty. I'll read from the chat while you respond.
Yes. I do. I have a huge delay over here.
Okay, Oracle of the Ether says that's why I fell in love with the tarot community. It seems like they're the only people that get it. Tarot magician, welcome. Says I'm an
I
introvert
don't know
as
what you
well. I
want me
get
to
it.
talk about. But I do know that my best sexual experience wasn't, it was in the astral plane with an energy being. It wasn't even physical.
I agree with you, 1000%.
How do you achieve that level of energy consciousness? Because as I'm learning more about myself and spiritual energy, the more interested I am and the more I've learned about myself. I mean, I've really learned a lot. And I want to be able to apply this so that when I do find the person I love, I want to be able to give them my all, be able to apply everything I've learned up to this point. So either one of you chime in. What is it like making love on the astral plane? And how do you get to that level? Oracle even says, have you experienced people coming into your experience when you have 5D sex? See, these are things that I'm learning about now that I want people to know.
It's not like physical sex. It's a merging of energy. It's not physical. It's not even you don't even have sex. Like, it's really just the merging of energies. There's no body slam. There's no body.
So is this for us simple people a version of masturbation, or is it something deeper? Like I say, how do I tap into this well where I could literally feel this strong, I don't know if it's sexual energy, if that's the best way to explain it. How do I explain this to, like I say, explain it to me as if I were a virgin, because for this I pretty much am. And again, either one of you can chime in.
There's a huge lag. For Oracle, with people coming into experiences of 5D sex, I've never had anyone come in that was not invited.
Okay, so how it started for me was through meditation. I started meditating and working with crystals, and like everything started opening up for me on a spiritual level.
Are there any specific crystals, amethyst, quartz? Is there anyone that you use specifically to unlock your sexual chakras? I'm going to refresh this again to see if I can fix the lag. Again, I'm sorry.
Not my sexual chakras, but I do work with a propopolite. I can't even say the name. I'll have to get the name of it for you, proper name. But it does take you up into the 11th chakra, into the angelic realm.
Okay, and again, this may be a little bit
And that's what when I started experiencing other dimensions in the astral state. That's when the experiences started occurring in the dream state, and then in just a trance state. But I've, you know, my first ethereal sexual experience was like in 2006, and periodically since then. It doesn't even feel like physical sex. It's so much better.
Is it something that you can call on at any time, or do you have to be in a certain mood or mind frame, or is it something that just maybe hits you at 3 a.m. on a random night? Or is it something that you have to really channel and focus on?
Um, it depends. You can channel the energy yourself, but it does take a certain state of mind. Like you have to be open, and then sometimes the energy being just shows up in my dream state. So, but always welcome, and I'll wait years for that experience to happen again, because it doesn't. It's so euphoric. It doesn't compare. There isn't anything on earth that compares to it.
Wow, I just came back into the convo. Sorry.
I've had very vivid dreams where I thought I'd found my lover, like the lover of my dreams. And it was so vivid. I could tell you what kind of perfume she had on, what she looked like, everything. And, when I woke up for like the first 30 seconds, I really thought she existed. But it was almost like an angel had visited my dreams, and it fucked up my whole day. Not in a bad way, but I just kept thinking about, damn, what is it going to take for me to finally find that level of love where it felt like it was a 3 hour dream, not one of those 2 minutes where you don't remember. I mean, this is vivid where I remember smells. I remember where we were when we met, the places we went together and everything. And it was, it was memorable. It was something like, say, a drug could never make me feel the euphoria or the joy or the completeness that I felt. And like I said, I may have that dream once every 2 to 3 years. But it's so vivid and profound, and I'm like, I know
She
she's
may
out
be
there
a
somewhere.
spiritual wife on the other side.
I mean, because it's deep and it's vivid and it feels so real. Like I say, I can remember smells, I can remember taste, I can remember very intimate details of the dream where I couldn't tell you the dreams I've had in the past 2 weeks because I forgot them all. So I can relate to that level of, I guess, emotion, maybe not on a sexual level, but still on a loving, feeling whole, like I felt like I found almost like I found my soulmate in a way. And that was more profound than, like I say, any high, any
I write all
drug.
my dreams down.
Or any
For the
physical
most
contact
part,
you
the
would have
vivid
had.
ones.
Right. Tarot Magician says it could have been a prophetic dream. I can only wish. But the more I learn about my energy, the more I have to learn to control it. Because, I'm going to call you on your bullshit. I'm going to ask questions, but I don't want to be overbearing and be that guy that's looking through your phone either. I've grown way past that. I want somebody that I can trust enough to leave my phone out and unlocked, and they never feel the need to go digging through it, nor will I. To me, that would be true love. And my man, who is that in the chat, said that he's looking up 5D, 5D sex.
Absolutely be very, very cautious. You don't want to invite things that you don't know.
Good luck finding that. People, here, you can have my phone. You can look through my phone at any time.
Though my phone is pretty dry. Matter of fact, my Instagram is pretty dry. For that part, I was told, as I'm always told, you have 15,000 subs and you only get 10 people in your chat. Well, I prefer a cozy chat. I would never want to go to a mega church. I like the old church on the corner, the old brick building with no air conditioner and everybody's got fans. Those old paper fans. Everybody in the congregation knows everybody, everybody's family. And I prefer an atmosphere like that over 300 people all shouting over each other.
How is it that I'm speaking with two introverts, yet I'm the extrovert who cannot speak?
See, you're
Out of practice.
you're the control.
I'm out of practice.
Yeah, you're the control in this experiment.
Well, thank you kindly.
Because Kitty and I both have a strong spiritual energy. She's more in touch with hers. But I think, what we look for at our age and partners is kind of close to the same. Or am I wrong in that? Or is there something maybe a little different you're looking for, Kitty?
But when I speak about astral sex, I'm literally talking about a being.
And see, that's something we're going to have other chats on other nights so that we understand that. Because some people don't know what a 5D connection is. Some people don't even know what the fifth dimension is. Now, I'm going to tell you how I became familiar with the fifth dimension, and that was through a guy named Ralph
You're
Smart.
such a lag.
It's a good thing that you know how to explain it. Okay? I don't know how to explain it.
Well, I went to a guy named Ralph Smart. He is a motivational speaker on YouTube. He's also very spiritually connected, believes in gemstones, believes in the power of positive motivation, that sort of thing. He spoke about the fifth dimension and connecting with the fifth dimension and opening the pineal gland.
Infinite waters. Diving deep.
Yeah, Infinite Waters. Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy. I watch him all the time, and I get a lot of positive information from him. A lot of things that make me go study, and I've learned a lot about myself. A lot of people suffer with either anxiety, depression. A lot of really cerebral people sit around and they're in their own head all the time, and sometimes you can get on your own nerves, and you have to find outlets and ways to cope. So yeah, I get a lot of good information from Ralph Smart, Infinite Water. Shout out to him. But yeah, those 5D connections. If we can get more information on that and bring that to the table, Kitty mentioned her 12th chakra. I'm only getting in touch with the main 5 right now. The 12th is way out of my echelon, but I am learning. So for those of us who are still newer on our spiritual journeys, are there any
Absolutely.
books? Are there any books you could
I've been watching him
recommend?
for years.
Yeah. Are there any books you could recommend? Are there any websites, any places where we can go and get more information about the spiritual realm to where it's more understandable for, like I said, a guy like me, grew up in a Christian home, sees things, grew up to taught things were taboo. Help a guy like me out.
I could send you some books, but you can go. I mean, the the I don't know. There's a plethora of knowledge, even just at Barnes and Nobles. You know, they've expanded their New Age books. Um, get books on empaths, light workers, chakra healing, grounding yourself. You know, it depends on what it is that you want to learn about. If you want to learn more about crystals and how to utilize them, how to cleanse and clear, how to open your system, how to use prayer and meditation.
And see, that's the unique bind, uh, prayer and being in touch with the ancestors that some people are not able to bind together. By talking to people of different spiritual walks, I'm learning to bind that tie between
But
the energy of our
maybe find a
ugly.
spiritual or a shaman, like a spiritualist or a shaman to lead and guide.
Right, but there's still that old Christian superstition in me that once I give myself over to this energy, that I know my life would change profoundly, but I don't know if it would change profoundly for the better. I mean, I still have so many questions and all, and it's not something that, again, I listen to you for hours. I've listened to April LaShawn for hours and hours, and like I say, there's a loving energy that I know exists there, and I would love to know how to tap into it without being judgmental and without those shackles of years and years of indoctrination, and I would say brainwashing, because there's a lot of Christians that I know that don't know how to love, and then there are people that aren't necessarily labeled as Christians that have shown more love than I've ever seen, and people to the point where they've transcended love and been able to meet beings of love and light that were able to come into their lives and enlighten them in this physical plane. So again, there's a lot to understand. There's a lot to unpack for somebody who is new, somebody who's a novice, somebody who believes the energy exists but is just now learning how to tap into it, a person that needs cleansing, spiritual cleansing, a person that needs their chakras brought back in tune, um, that maybe doesn't know how to meditate, doesn't know the power stones. So again, this is a stepping stone for a lot of us to be able to reach that next level, if you can understand that.
Slide, it's interesting that you say it that way, because I feel that perhaps many people do sense that. And that's something that I've felt as a child and all throughout my time. However, I haven't had anyone to really honestly reach out to and talk to
I think
like
the
we're
most
doing
important
now.
thing for you is that the energy is God. That's who you're connecting with.
All right, because when I spoke to Freemasons, as a Freemason, everyone spoke about allegory and spoke about symbols and talked about symbols replacing symbols. Then I look at a deck of tarot and I see the pillars and I see the B and I see the J and I know what they stand for. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I know what they stand for from a Masonic standpoint. And then I see a lot of the same symbols. I see a lot of the same things in tarot. And it's almost like I understand what they mean with just looking at the card without there having to be a long description. And now when you go through readings, all you have to do is flip a card. And it's almost like I know exactly what you're going to say based on what's on the card. Now, is that strange, or does that mean that maybe I'm in tune with this energy? And I mean, I don't know. It's weird. Like I say, if someone like you asked me to randomly read you the other night, and you didn't disagree with one thing I said, and 2 nights before that, I was in a random chat and I said, "Hey, you're a Scorpio, aren't you?" And I could pick up on her, what's her name, just Jess's uh, energy from the chat. Somebody I'd never met before, that she was a Scorpio. There's something here. I've had the death card drawn for me 3 times in a row by 3 different readers, and then the one card that you drew the other night was about passing on.
It was
It was about not being able to take love with you or something like that. So I'm kind of at this impasse where I'm really not sure what to do, Kitty. So I do
I'm
look to
sorry,
you.
there's a huge lag. By the time you get this response, you'll be on the next topic.
No, go ahead. Once you speak, go ahead and keep speaking. Go ahead and just give your feedback, whatever comes to mind, so that way um, it doesn't seem like I have to keep stopping to get your response. I know that I do because of the lag, but I'm sorry again. I'm sorry for that. I'll try my best to fix it.
I think I I think that you should just work on like getting rid of the stigma of religion and wipe religious beliefs out of your brain, you know, and just focus on God. And what is God? What is God's energy? God is the all loving, you know, being, you know. So don't try not to be so caught up in the religious factors. And meditation, you know, as far as meditation, I didn't know how to meditate, you know, like I couldn't sit still. I couldn't clear my mind. And all I could think is like, am I doing this wrong? I'm not feeling any different. But in time, I could sit longer and I could actually relax and open up. But I institute prayer. I also utilize scripture, you know, and when you start viewing the Bible in like parables, then you could understand the spiritual principles of the Bible, and not as reading it like with the physical eye, or feeling it with the physical heart, but feeling it with your spiritual heart, which is all love and it's all God.
Oh, Kitty, I'm so sorry. There's such horrible lag. I didn't mean to overspeak you either. I can barely hear a thing. If I did, forgive me, please.
Me too, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. It's just, it's so weird to try to hear myself and not hear myself at the same time. Not at all what I'm used to.
Did Slide tap out or what?
I'm pretty sure he's going to be coming back. In
Sorry
regards to
about that, ladies.
spirit, true. It's very true, and everything does come back to spirit, regardless of whatever form people wish to, you know, name God or essence or spirit or anything. It's still the thing that's always around us and within us, and it's very, very difficult to, I guess, try to explain. I'm not taught. I don't
This
know
is
how to
so weird.
explain
I'm
it to
listening on my
people.
phone.
I've grown up on this on my own, so I'm mostly self-taught and I've never had like a mentor or anything. So everything I do know is just what I know and how I've taught myself. I don't know how to explain it in the words that you put it. Thank you for putting it so beautifully. Professional.
Well, hey, we're all here to learn from each other, and that's the whole point. Again, understanding how to get to the next spiritual realm, the next level, uh, in this lifetime is something that some of us are able to achieve, whether it be through meditation, through study, through having a spiritual guide to teach us. Some people are naturally born with gifts where they're able to channel that part of their energy from a young age and learn to refine it. Um, I think there's a spiritual awakening happening in the world, especially here in the United States, especially with the new flow of information that's out there where people are getting more in touch with Eastern philosophies, Eastern sciences, Eastern healing, natural healing, meditation, stones. There's so many other sources out there of positive enlightenment that don't require the indoctrination or the rules or the guilt of religion. And until a lot of us, um, people who were born in a mostly black or mostly Christian household, who everything was considered taboo, most of us will have a hard time. That cognitive dissonance kicks in, and it's hard for us to disconnect from those shackles and see something that's a lot more loving and a lot more accepting and a lot more giving uh, than the church. I'm in that dilemma right now spiritually because I've learned so much more about myself by studying empathic abilities, by studying karma, by studying energy, and by simply observing the people who exude love and light and nothing else. Um, and I'm glad to have been enlightened by the people I've met, not only through um, Kitty, but also through the tarot magician, oracle of the ether, um, just all the people I met, the tarot magician. Uh, all of you guys have been enlightening. Even in Kitty's chat, you guys give positive affirmations to the people that come in there as well. I haven't really had a chance to acquaint myself with Mark yet, but I promise I will. Um, Marky Mark's tarot. He seems to be a nice, down to earth person as well. Kitty and Vita, I give you guys the floor. I know there's going to be about a 30-second delay, so I
Oh,
understand. Vita, you can go first. Kitty, you can wrap it up. If you guys have a message for the people here, let us know how to find your channels or your pages. If you've got a last message of positivity, you can leave it, whatever you want to say. But take your time. I want you to take the floor again. I know there's a lag, but we do want to close out on a positive note.
Kitty, go first.
Okay, I'm just going to pull a card. She believed she could, so she did. Just believe in yourself and trust in God, and source energy, however you however, whatever you label it, whether it's the universe, God, spirit, Buddha, Muhammad, whatever it is that people connect to, stay connected. When we lose the connection with God, we lose the connection with others. And if we could just really focus on our similarities and not our differences, we can help heal the world. And my name is Catherine, and you can call me Kitty, and you can find me at Kitty's Corner Recovery Row to Row.
Okay, Vita, you can go ahead and have the last words, and then I'll close it out.
Thank you so kindly. The best advice I could give is to just listen to yourself and your own intuition. Coming from someone who had to learn everything on their own, it seems scary. And there's so many interesting things. But if you feel drawn to something, then there's probably something that your own spirit is trying to remind you of, perhaps teach you. Reach out for it, go for it, and believe in yourself. It might seem scary, but definitely listen to your own intuition, because you don't know where it's going to lead you until you just give it a shot.
All right, and I'll leave us with some spiritual words this evening. I'm going to leave us with Isaiah 61, verse 1 through 3. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn and provide those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor. All right, guys, I really appreciate you coming by tonight. Just because it's all about sex doesn't mean it has to be raunchy or nasty. We can all learn a little bit about each other and from each other. I really appreciate Kitty and Vita for taking the time. Beach, if you're out there, thank you. Everybody that was able to make the chat, God bless. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much.